Hello everyone, and welcome to Simply Made Homestead, and welcome to my kitchen. I'm Marian, and today I want to take you along with me while I put up some corn in the freezer and show you how we do it. And it's not just any corn, we're going to put up cream corn, which is our favorite. We just love it. Now, if videos like this are of interest to you, or if you enjoy watching videos like this, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications so you won't miss a thing. We have lots of good stuff coming. Now, the first thing that we'll do, we have this corn, we've already shucked it and we've removed the silks, and we've rinsed it off really well. It's all organic, so we haven't put any kind of pesticides on our corn. It has done really, really well. I have found one worm out of all of our corn that we have picked so far, so I'm really pleased with that. And what we were doing to keep the worms away has really worked. So if you're interested in how we did our corn patch and how we kept the worms away, we do have a video out, caring for your corn, so be sure and watch that. I will link it at the end of this video for you. So the first thing we need to do, now that we have it shucked and we have it rinsed and the silk's removed, there's always going to be a little scraggler silk or two. That's okay. It's really not a big deal. First thing we need to do is blanch it. So now this corn, per my ball cookbook, preserving and canning cookbook, which if you don't have it and you are starting or canning, or you want to expand, or whatever you want to do, it is a wonderful resource and I highly recommend it. It's a ball preserving and canning cookbook. I'm sorry I don't have it right here with me. I will link it below for you in case it is something that interests you. So in the book it says if it's about 1.5 inches wide, you blanch it for 6 minutes, 2 inches, 8 minutes, and then if it's 3 inches wide, you would blanch it for 10 minutes. So this is, our first batch was a little bigger corn. We've suddenly had beetles invade our garden, these scarab beetles, so we've really been fighting them, so we're really on top of it. I was hoping these might get a little bit bigger, but they're still beautiful and we love them. So we're gonna blanch these for 6 minutes today, so let's get started with that. All right, now that we have our corn all shucked and clean and ready to blanch, the next thing you do is need to get a nice big pot. I think this is like a 16-quart stock pot. I will link one of those below for you as well. I filled it about halfway full of water, put the lid on it to help get it to a boil, put it on high, and we don't add anything to it. It's just water. So we're gonna get that boiling and get it ready so we can add our corn. All right, now the other thing that you will need is a nice big bowl, and we're gonna fill it with cold water and with ice, lots and lots of ice. We want it to be really good and cold, because once we add our corn to the pot and boil it for 6 minutes for our small ears of corn, and where we're going to, then once we take it out, we'll put it directly into a bowl of really cold, ice cold water to stop the cooking process and to cool it off. We want it to cool off really quickly. Now, the reason we blanch it, it helps to hold the nutrients, the color, and the flavor of your vegetable. Once you put it in the freezer, the freezing process can deteriorate those things, and the blanching them first helps to keep those things, helps it from being destroyed in the freezer. So, all right, now the water is boiling. So we're gonna take the lid off and we're gonna add some corn. Now, how many pieces of corn is going to depend on how much water, how big your pot is, and how much water you've got in there. And anytime you add anything to boiling water, it's going to bring the temperature down because we're adding cold corn to the hot water. And so we're gonna have to wait until it starts boiling again before we'll actually start the clock. Now you'll see I've got a lot of corn in there. I'll do 2 batches with what I've got going, but it can move around nice and easy. And that's what you want. So I'm gonna put the lid back on so we can speed up the process a little bit. Now we won't start the clock until the corn starts to boil again. Now it's beginning already, a little bit on the sides. When you have a nice clear lid, it really helps. But even if you don't have a nice clear lid, you can usually start seeing steam come up out of the side of the lid, between the lid and the pot, so you know that it's boiling well. And right now the boil is very soft, so I want it to pick it up some before I start the timer. When you're waiting for the pot to begin to boil again, it will take a couple of minutes, and the bigger the pot and the more water you have, the more time that it may take. So, I mean, I've got mine on high, and I mean, it's been a couple of minutes, so just to kind of give you a heads up what to look for and what to expect. All right, so I took the lid off, so hopefully you can kind of see it a little bit there. The boil, it has begun to boil. So I'm going to set my timer for 6 minutes. And then I'm just going to stick my lid back on so it can get keep a nice good boil going. And in the meantime, all right, now while that's boiling, I'm going to take my pot here, or my bowl, my big bowl, and I'm going to go fill it up with ice and water and have it ready for when the corn's done. Now I have a half-gallon pitcher of ice that I'm going to add to the bowl. See? So I've got a nice bunch of ice in there, and then I'll fill it with water, or not fill it, but you know, about half full in the bowl with water to give room for the corn to sit. Okay, now as you can see, we've got a nice good bowl going. You can see by all that steam coming out of there. We've got our bowl of water with ice, and I have some tongs, and we're just gonna pull the corn. Whew, I'm not a big fan of these tongs. Gonna pull the tongs out of there. The silicone just kind of slips on them. Guess I'm just used to the old metal ones I used to have. And then we're just gonna add the hot, steamy corn over here into the bowl of ice water. Now do try to let some of the that really hot water drain off of your corn, because, you know, this is some hot stuff right here. And we don't want to melt our ice any faster than we have to. Now, once I get all of this corn out of here, I'll put the lid back on the pot, and we'll bring it back up to boil. Ooh, and be careful, because that water is super, super hot. And if you drop your corn and splash it on yourself, you're gonna burn yourself. So, like I just did, right in the lip. I have found with these tongs, if you grab it more towards the back of the thing, they kind of grip a little bit better. So if you have the same kind of tongs. All right, now see, that water is already boiling. It is already boiling and ready for our next batch. I just want to bring you around here. See, there's the corn sitting there resting in the ice water. And we're gonna leave that there for a little bit, while we get our other batch in the pot. All right, last batch. All right, lid going on. Bring it back to a boil. Then once it starts boiling, we'll turn the timer on for 6 minutes. Now, while the second batch is over there coming to a boil, I'm going to leave this in the bowl of cold water. I can say cold water now because the ice is all melted, but the water is nice and cold. So I'm gonna leave it in there so they can really get nice and chilled. Because you know how when anything's cooked, it can cool off on the outside a lot quicker than it gets on the inside. So I'm gonna let it sit there for a little bit. Now right before this other batch is done, I will take them out And I'm going to put them, let me show you. The camera doesn't show it, so I'm gonna move my thing so I can show you what I've got set up here. I just have a towel down here with some cooling racks that I'm going to lay my corn on just so they can kind of drain a little bit before we cut it off the cob and get it ready for the freezer. All right, the second batch is almost done. So I'm moving this over to the drying rack just to let some of that excess water drain off, because in our cream corn, all we want is delicious, juicy corn. We don't want water, right? And we need to get our bowl prepared for the next batch. So I really need to hurry here because I keep thinking the timer's gonna go off any second. All right, the second batch is cooling in the bowl here. And so I'm gonna let that cool a little bit more before I move it over onto the draining racks, the cooling racks. So I do wanna show you what we're gonna do next, what we're gonna use next. So how I store my cream corn, I just use the quart size Ziploc bag, well not Ziploc, the quart size freezer bags. And you can use whatever brand you want. This is Great Value, a Walmart brand. I use those just because they're cheaper, and they have held up really well for me. Ziploc, whatever brand that you prefer will work. You just need, this is recipe, what I'm gonna show you is for a quart size freezer bag. I use that, black magic marker, because I always put, especially if you put a lot of stuff up, I like to put what it is and the date I put it up. So that way when you go in the freezer, you can make sure you eat the older things first and keep things moving forward, and you're not wasting any of your hard work that you've done. I also went and grabbed this book so you can actually see it. I don't get paid anything for saying this. I'm not sponsored by Ball or anything like this, but this is what has taught me how to can. Now, I am no pro, and this I've done for years, the corn. That's why I wanted to share it with you. Bread, butter, pickles, and corn. That has been my go-to for years and years, but this is my first year to really have a good-sized garden and to have lots of things to put away. But this right here is just a plethora of information. Really good information if you're learning to can or want to expand in your canning. This is it. This is just in preserving. This is a good book. I have two of them. I swear I don't think anything changed in it other than the cover. So, but anyway, I will link that for you below. All right, so let's get this corn here moved over, and then we're going to move on to our next step. Okay, so the next step, I have my big bowl. It's all empty from the corn. I've dried it out so we don't have any excess water. And I'll just take an ear of our corn, and then you want to make the flattest side that you have. Put it on the bottom. And our goal is to cut halfway through the kernel. And you want a nice sharp knife. This is my chef's knife, so I usually keep it nice and sharp, and I'm just used to using this. But any sharp knife that you have and that is comfortable to use, just like that. All right? So the next thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna do all of them and then come back and do the second step, but to show you, next thing you'll do is you'll take a smaller knife and you'll just scrape your corn. And that's where all that yummy, yummy juice and all the creaminess, oh my goodness gracious alive. It is so good. I just love it. Just like that. I'm gonna throw my cob over here. All right, now let me show you. We'll do it one more here. Let me pull you over. I'm gonna pull you over and let you see right down into the bowl. All right. Now, we don't have any fancy equipment around here, so Y'all bear with me. But anyway, so there you go. And then I just slice it, just like that, about halfway halfway through the kernel, all the way around. And yeah, this process does take a little while. Now I have used a vegetable peeler for the next step, but I've kind of gotten away from that because it tends to cut into the kernel-y, the shell of it, and has kind of hard pieces in your corn. And I wasn't really crazy about that. So then I take my little knife, and you see that? You're just scraping the juice out of there. And with the vegetable peeler, it kind of like, it cut through it rather than just juicing it. And then I just turn it around and you do the other side. Just like that. And it's a lot easier me picking it up than holding it down in the pot like I had it down in the bowl. But there you go. All right, so let's get the rest of this corn done. Okay, we've got a nice big bowl of corn, cut off the cobs, scraped. So now I'm just gonna mix it all up because I went through and cut all of my corn first, and then I came back and scraped my corn. So all the scrapings is on top, and I just want to be sure and get it all mixed around in there really well. So everything will be all mixed in good. Okay, there we go. Now, the next thing we're gonna do, need to get my bag marked. So I'll have to put today's date and then cream corn, so we know what's in the bag. All right, now I use this huge beer mug. This was my husband's mug pre-marriage. Yes, it's been a while. It was a while ago, but anyway, so I like to use this. You can use anything you want, a vase. You can hold it and just fill it that way, whatever works best for you. But I like to do it this way. Now, one thing I do like to do too, so I know what is in each bag, is I will, I measure it. So I like 4 cups in a bag, which is a nice big bunch. And I mean, even though it's just myself and my husband that live here, if I cook this, take one out of the freezer and cook that for us, then it warms up really well. Put it in the fridge, have it for leftovers later. Okay, I'm gonna use a spoon because it's just a little bit easier. And then I'll just start filling my bag. Whoops, I slobbed. I know this is taking some time, isn't it? Sorry. Just kind of push it down gently. Get it all in there. Because once you pull that bag out, there'll be a little extra space. All right, there we go. Now I'll just pull the bag up. Look at there. Oh, isn't that pretty? So, and then I'll just put it, can you see me? Okay, I just want to make sure you can see me. I'll start at one end and I'll just seal it up and leave one end open. And then I like to spread it all around, get it all into the corners, get it way over there and really push that air out, and then just work my way down and get all the air out you can, because the air is what ruins our food in the freezer. So we want to get all that out. Plus, you get it nice and flat like that, it makes it real easy to stack bags, and you can stack them up in the freezer, and you save a lot of space that way. Okay guys, that's just how easy it is. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you would like to help us in any way, if you could share us with your friends and family on all of your social media, that is the absolute best thing you could do to help us, and we really would appreciate it. So until next time, take care and God bless.